Hello, I am Philippe Girard, and I am a professor in the history department at McNeese State University.
And I am Janet Allured, also a professor of history. Welcome to Your Grandma Rocks, where we explore the lives of famous women in history.
Welcome and bienvenue à nos amis francophones. Ceci est la radio de l'Université McNeese.
On the program today, music and history as we retrace the life of a remarkable woman. She rose from neglect and poverty to become First Lady of Argentina. Her admirers even see her as a saint. Her name was Eva Perón.
And along the way, we'll sample an eclectic mix of Argentine music. We'll start with the country's most iconic genre, and that would be the tango, of course, and a piece that showcases its unique rhythm. This is Libertango by Astor Piazzolla. Welcome back to Your Grandma Rocks and the life of Eva Perón of Argentina.
Retracing her childhood is not easy. In her autobiography, she said almost nothing about her early years. And when she got married in 1945, she used a fake birth certificate that misrepresented both her last name and date of birth.
And the reason for all this mystery was simple. Eva Perón was born out of wedlock. Her father, Juan Duarte, was a wealthy rancher who already had a family of his own. And so in 1920, when Eva was just 1 year old, he simply abandoned her and her mother and returned to his official family.
Poor Eva grew up destitute as a result. With no one to support them, her mother moved to a small village in the Argentine Pampa and took on odd jobs like sewing and cooking.
And everyone looked down on Eva because she was illegitimate. And when her father died, her biological father, Eva and her mother went to attend the funeral, but they were escorted out of the doors of the church because the legitimate wife did not want them there. And so poor Eva could not even attend the funeral of her own father.
Eva's mother wanted to spare her daughter the kind of humiliation she had suffered. So she encouraged her to find a proper husband and settle down as a housewife. But Eva dreamed of the lights of the big city and a career in acting. So at age 15, she ran off to Buenos Aires.
And before we get there, let's pause for our second musical break. I suggest that, like a young Eva Perón, we enjoy ourselves a little, and we'll listen to a rowdy Argentine party song from 2001, Matador, by Los Fabulosos Cadillacs.
dicen el matador nace en barracas. Si hablamos de matar, mis palabras matan. No hace mucho tiempo que cayó el león Santillán y ahora sé que en cualquier momento me la van a dar. ¿Dónde estás, matador? Revisen el matador, me están buscando. En una fría pensión los estoy esperando. Agazapado en lo más oscuro de mi habitación, fusil en mano, espero mi final. La gana te busca, matador, la gana te tiene, matador. ¿Dónde estás, matador? No te vayas, matador, matador. Viento de libertad, sangre combativa. En los bolsillos del pueblo la vieja herida. De pronto el día se me hace de noche, murmullos, corridas y el golpe en la puerta. Llegó la fuerza policial. Mira, hermano, en que terminaste por pelear por un mundo mejor. Que suenan, son balas, me alcanzan, me atrapan. Resiste, Víctor Jara, no calla. Matador, matador, te están buscando. Matador, te están matando. Matador, valiente matador. Me dicen el matador de los 100 barrios porteños. No tengo por qué tener miedo, mis palabras son balas, balas de paz, balas de justicia. Soy la voz de los que hicieron callar sin razón, por un solo hecho de pensar distinto. Ay Dios, Santa María de los Buenos Aires, si todo estuviera mejor. Si todo estuviera mejor. ¿A dónde vas, matador? Matador. Oh, yeah.
Welcome back to Your Grandma Rocks on KBYS. I'm Janet Allured.
And I am Philippe Girard. This was the song Cadillac by the band Los Fabulosos Cadillac. And today we explore the life of the First Lady of Argentina, Eva Perón.
We last met her in 1934 when she ran away to the capital of Buenos Aires on her own at age 15. It wasn't easy for a young woman to support herself in the city, especially in the middle of the Great Depression, so she did what she had to do. She dyed her hair blonde and began a series of relationships with older and more affluent men.
You can call it prostitution or maybe strategic dating or simply necessity, but it worked. She got her first jobs in modeling, theater, and the cinema, and she achieved her dream of becoming an actress.
She'd never became a big movie star, but she did get a recurring role on the popular radio drama. She was so successful that by the 1940s, she was making 5,000 pesos a month and owned half the radio station. Not bad for a woman in her 20s who had been born in poverty.
And it was at this juncture that a terrible earthquake hit the city of San Juan and killed 10,000 people. And the Ministry of Labor, Juan Perón, organized a fundraiser for the victims, and that would be a big gala in Buenos Aires that was attended by the rich and by the famous.
And also by Eva. She attended the gala, and she and Juan Perón immediately hit it off. Rumor had it that they spent the whole evening together before slipping out at 2 a.m.
I'll take your word for it. I wasn't there, but you seem to have some privileged information that I was not privy to. But at long last, Eva had escaped poverty and loneliness, but she had not yet found power and respect, and that was next on our agenda. But before we get there, we'll listen to the great love song Historia de un Amor. It has been performed by many artists over history, but this particular version is sung by the Argentine actress Libertad Lamarque, who starred in a movie alongside Eva Perón.
Ya no estás más a mi lado, corazón. En el alma solo tengo soledad. Y si ya no puedo verte, porque Dios me hizo quererte para hacerme sufrir más. Siempre fuiste la razón de mi existir. Adorarte para mí fue religión. Y en tus besos yo encontraba el amor que me brindaba, el calor de tu pasión. Es la historia de un amor como no habrá otro igual, que me hizo comprender todo el bien, todo el mal, que le dio luz a mi vida, apagándola después. ¡Ay, qué noche tan oscura! Todo se me ha de volver. Ya no estás más a mi lado, corazón. En el alma solo tengo soledad. Y si ya no puedo verte, porque Dios me hizo quererte para hacerme sufrir más. La historia de un amor como no habrá otro igual, que me hizo comprender todo el bien, todo el mal, que le dio luz a mi vida, apagándola después. ¡Ay, qué noche tan oscura! Todo se me ha de volver. Ya no estás más a mi lado, corazón. En el alma solo tengo soledad. Y si ya no puedo verte, porque Dios me hizo quererte para hacerme sufrir más.
Welcome back to Your Grandma Rocks on KBYS.
I am Philippe Girard. This was Historia de un Amor, as sung by Libertad Lamarque of Argentina. Today, we are retracing the life of Eva Perón, an Argentine actress who first met her future husband, Juan Perón, at a fundraiser in Argentina in 1944.
He was 48, she was 24. She was not yet politically active, so she was willing to support his political agenda as long as it meshed with her lifelong interest in fighting poverty.
And he had a definite political agenda. Perón today would be best described as a fascist who mixed nationalism and authoritarianism with a genuine concern for the working class.
As Minister of Labor, Juan Perón required all artists in Argentina to join a union. They complied, and they thought it would be smart to elect his mistress as president of the union. And that's how Eva Perón's political career began.
And as it turned out, she had a natural gift for politics. She used her daily program on the radio to reach out to her audience. And because of her humble origins, she could relate to the poor and to the working people in a way that no other politician could. And in return, they called her our little Eva.
By 1945, Juan Perón's enemies were convinced that he had his eyes set on the presidential seat, and so they had him jailed.
And within days, 300,000 people showed up to demand his release. Some people claim that Eva is the one who organized the demonstration.
What is for sure is that Juan Perón appreciated her love and loyalty during those difficult times, and he married her just one day after he was released from prison.
And so the illegitimate child and the B-movie actress was now the wife of the most ambitious man in Argentina.
The following year, Juan Perón ran for president.
And Evita was everywhere during that campaign, speaking on his behalf and appearing next to him on stage, which was very unusual in Argentina at the time. Women would not even vote.
With her help, Juan Perón won in a landslide, and Eva became the first lady of Argentina. This was 1946.
And by then, for better or for worse, Evita had become something of an international celebrity. She went on a tour of Europe to represent her country, and she was generally well received, except in England, where the king gave the cold shoulder to this nouveau riche.
Evita also appeared alone on the cover of Time magazine, which was a first for a woman from South America. But the magazine took this opportunity to note that she was born out of wedlock. And so Juan Perón banned the magazine in Argentina in retaliation.
Back home, Evita tried to join established charity groups, but the old money ladies who ran them refused to work with a former actress of dubious reputation, even if she was now the first lady. So Evita had to create her own charity that she called, of course, the Eva Perón Foundation.
Evita threw herself heart and soul into the project, spending long days touring projects around the country and meeting with poor supplicants. Her foundation eventually grew to the largest organization in Argentina. It ran schools and hospitals, built homes for the homeless, and catered to hundreds of thousands of people.
And when she would meet the sick and the poor, Evita would not hesitate to embrace people afflicted with leprosy or syphilis, as if she were a kind of messiah who could cure the sick with her touch. And many people thought that she actually could. They even petitioned to make Santa Evita a Catholic saint. So far, the church has refused.
Evita also embraced the cause of female suffrage, and in 1947, for the first time, the Argentine Congress authorized women to vote.
We're going to pause and listen to another tango. This one is a bit unusual. It is based on Roxanne by Police, and it is sung in part by the actor Ewan McGregor. I'm speaking here of El Tango de Roxanne, which was featured in the 2001 movie Moulin Rouge.
On that red light, walk the streets for money. You don't care if it's wrong or if it is right. Roxanne, you don't have to wear that dress tonight. Roxanne, you don't have to sell your body to the night.
His eyes upon your face, his hand upon your hand, his lips caress your skin. It's more than I can stand.
Me dejaste,
This was El Tango de Roxanne from the musical Moulin Rouge. Welcome back to KBYS, the McNeese radio station, and the life of Evita Perón, the First Lady of Argentina from 1946 until her death.
The women we have profiled in this series tend to end their lives tragically, and Evita was no exception.
In 1951, when it came time for her husband to run for re-election, Evita's supporters urged her to run for vice president, but she declined.
Maybe she was influenced by the traditional Hispanic motto of womanhood, which states that women should remain pure, selfless, and passive. But by that point, she was also suffering regular fainting spells, and she was very worried about her health.
It turned out that she had an advanced form of cervical cancer. She underwent a hysterectomy to remove the tumor, some experimental chemotherapy to fight metastasis, and possibly a lobotomy to help with the pain, but nothing worked.
And so by June 1952, when her husband was reelected as president, Evita could barely make it to the inauguration ceremony. They had to stuff her with pain pills and prop her up on a metal frame so that she could stand up for the ceremony.
She died a month later on July 26, 1952.
And the outpouring of grief was just stupendous. The only thing I could think of that would be comparable would be the death of Lady Diana in 1997. In her case, millions of people attended her funeral.
Mm-hmm. This is where things get a bit weird. To allow her followers to see her in perpetuity, Juan Perón arranged for her body to be embalmed.
And Evita's body was supposed to be displayed in a mausoleum permanently, the same way that they did with Mao or Stalin or Lenin in Russia. Mm-hmm. But Juan Perón became less popular after her death, and he was overthrown before the building could be finished.
The army generals who overthrew Perón were terrified of Evita's influence even after her death. So they made it illegal to have portraits of Evita in one's home or even to say her name. And they made her body disappear.
And so for 16 years thereafter, no one knew what had happened to the body of Evita, the First Lady of Argentina. And it was only in 1971 that it was located again. The body had been secretly flown all the way to Milan in Italy and buried there under a false name.
Her embalmed body was returned to Juan Perón, who by that point was living in exile in Spain. The body had kept remarkably well despite all those years, and so Juan put it on display in his dining room.
And I'm not sure what his new wife, because he had been remarried in the meantime, had to say about it.
Well, strangely enough, she was okay with it. Then Perón returned to power in Argentina in 1973, and he took Evita's body with him. He died soon thereafter, and the two of them were placed in the same tomb.
And the story does not end there.
After the death of Juan Perón, the army regained power in Argentina, and the generals became afraid that Evita's tomb could become a rallying point for the opponents of the regime. So they stole her body yet again and reburied it in the family tomb of her biological father in a kind of nuclear-proof bunker to make sure that she would never get out again.
And that is where Evita is now, in a sealed tomb with a very family that had rejected her as a child. And I would say that it is a rather sad way to end one's life. But remember what Madonna had to say? Don't cry for me, Argentina. And that will be our next song.
It won't be easy, you'll think it's strange when I try to explain how I feel, that I still need your love after all that I've done. You won't believe me, all you will see is a girl you once knew, although she's dressed up to the nines, at 6s and 7s with you. I had to let it happen, I had to change, couldn't stay on my life down at heel. looking out of the window, staying out of the sun. So I chose freedom, running around, trying everything new, but nothing impressed me at all. I never expected it to. Don't cry for me, Argentina. The truth is I never left you. All through my wild days, my mad existence, I kept my promise. Don't keep your distance. And as for fortune, and as for fame, I never invited them in. Though it seemed to the world they were all I desired. They are illusions, they're not the solutions they promised to be. The answer was here all the time. I love you and hope you love me. Don't cry for me, Argentina. Don't cry for me, Argentina. The truth is I never left you. All through my wild days, my mad existence, I kept my promise. Don't keep your distance. Have I said too much? There's nothing more I can think of to say to you. But all you have to do is look at me to know that every word is true.
Welcome back to KBYS. This was Don't Cry for Me, Argentina, interpreted by Madonna from the Andrew Lloyd Webber musical Evita.
This is KBYS, the McNeese Radio. I'm Janet Allured in the History Department at McNeese.
And I am Philippe Jurin, also in the History Department at McNeese.
We just covered the life and death of Eva Perón, First Lady of Argentina from 1946 to 1952.
Merci, and thank you for joining us.
This program was funded by a Juliet Hartner Grant for Women in the Humanities. For more information on how to help finance fellowships at McNeese, contact the foundation at 337-475-5588.
And this program was also sponsored by the History Department of McNeese. To apply for a degree in history or in any other field, contact the McNeese Admissions Office. The number is 475-5504.
Goodbye.
Au revoir.